All right, one day you're in the supermarket and you see a scene developing. There's this guy who is angry at another man, and he demands him to give him his wallet. So the one that's upset wants the other, upon whom he's upset, to hand over his wallet. The second guy thinks, hold on a minute, you're not getting my wallet. And then the first guy who's upset draws a knife and begins to stab on the second one who didn't give the wallet. So everyone in the supermarket is shocked. They call the police, the guy's arrested. And before the judge, the guy says, I told them to give me his wallet. You should have validated my expectation. I can't stand it when I don't have my will. He challenged my will, so I became upset. So it's not my fault that I attacked him. What do you think is going to happen? That guy's going to jail. Let's change the situation a little bit. It's the same thing that happened. Someone used the threat of danger, or someone used danger to get what they want. And when they didn't get what they wanted, they escalated. Now you have two men, but one is 20 years older than the other. And the one that's 20 years older demands some power over the one that's younger. And let's say the older one wants to control the finance of the younger one. But the younger one lives on his own, but yet the older one, whom they call the father, still wants to determine things upon his child, who's now a grown man. And then the grown son says, Dad, you're out of line here. If I still lived in your house, you could expect things from me, and I would have to give in. But I'm living on my own now, and you still think you can come here and dictate me. That's not right. And now the older man becomes upset and wants to kill his son for being disrespectful. So he assaults the son, and the son fights back. Now, eventually the people in the neighborhood become upset at the son because he was disrespectful towards his father. And there were even church folks who came at the son and told the son, you should honor your mother and father. They were telling him things like, even it doesn't matter how wrong and evil it is, he's still your father, you should respect him. And the son, when he appeared for the judge, made plain, Your Honor, even if I was a kid still living under that man's roof, he still couldn't just do whatever he wanted. Because if he went too far, he could end up in jail. And now I'm not even under his roof. And yet he thinks he can will whatever he wants concerning me. I don't take that. The judge, by law, gave the son his acknowledgement. The judge vindicated the son. Because the judge made plain, you're right, sir. That shouldn't happen. But the people in the neighborhood were still upset against the son. Why? Because the son did what was right. Now, what I want to talk about in this video is this concept of respect. It's a concept that's promoted throughout the world, throughout the centuries. And it's a concept that folks 99% of the time never question. Look, if I live in a community, people of the community can expect me to be considerate to their interest. That's natural. They can expect me not to drive on the left side of the road if everyone in the country drives on the right side. Because if I drive on the left side, I would cause accidents and people will get hurt. They can expect me to pay with euros if I'm in the Eurozone, or to pay with American dollars if I'm on American territory. They can expect me not to shout out loud in a train, because it may cause disturbance in the train. So people can expect things from me. However, I have the right to expect things from them also. And here's where the concept of respect comes in. Because respect is only demanded from the weaker, not from the stronger. Stronger always has his excuse that he can get away with. That's how it goes in practice. And I'm being realistic here. This concept of respect, if you look closely at it, it comes down to this. Someone has an expectation which they don't want to examine, they don't look at the context, they just want something. And if they don't get what they want, they are frustrated and now they want to take it out on someone. So to prevent someone from taking it out on you, you give in to the expectation, nothing bad happens. That's really what this whole concept of respect comes down to. How many times does it happen in the streets that young men get killed by other young men because they didn't show any respect? Or translated in normal words, some guy wanted something that he couldn't justify, and instead of facing himself and repenting, he took it out because the other didn't respect him. Listen to what I'm saying here. Just because someone wants something doesn't mean they should get it. And just because one is upset doesn't mean they have the right to inflict harm. It doesn't matter whether you're a parent, a child, or I don't care who you are. Nobody has a right to expect things unconditionally from you. Nobody. Nobody. If there are things that they expect unconditionally, it must be in line with Christ, who is the unconditional being, the only unconditional being there is. And even he doesn't just do whatever comes up in his mind. Even he considers his creatures. Now look, this concept of respect, when you examine it and how it works out in practice, you won't find anything Christ-like in it. You won't, because it's fear-based. Respect is fear-based. And doesn't it say in the New Testament that God has not given us the spirit of fear? So anything that's fear-based goes against God. And if it goes against God, that means it goes against Christ. It means it's antichrist. And if it's antichrist, it means it's paranormal. So this concept of respect is paranormal. Because if it's not in line with Christ, it's paranormal. Straight up. Yet folks defend this concept of respect with their life without questioning what's behind it. In let me say this. In this parable that I just gave unto you, you had this young man who didn't take the abusive attitude of his father. But the community around him was furious at him, even though he was the victim of the narcissistic abuse of his dad. And as a grown man, he was able to say no to it and to stop it. Even though he was the victim, the community blamed him as a perpetrator because the community did not want the status quo to be challenged. The community didn't want him to do the right thing, because then the community would have to give an account why they didn't do the right thing. And they didn't want to face themselves. So the community wants that man, who was targeted by one of his own parents, to show respect by bending over and allowing himself to be abused and destroyed, so that the community is relieved. Now this guy may claim, I'm not going to do that. He did the right thing. Don't you know that when you do the right thing in this world, often people turn on you for it? Look, there are times you endure things because confronting things would cause too much trouble. So to limit escalation, you endure something, but not because you approve it, not because it's all right, but so that you will find a far better way to deal with the situation later on. Nevertheless, you do face things in a Christ-centered manner. But here's where things get really weird. You have people that claim to follow Christ, and they're all into respect. And when I ask them, do you know what word respect means? Do you know where it comes from? Do you know it's just a concept we use in language? Do you know what the concept stands for? Is that concept in line with Christ? When I go to the root of stuff, a lot of them who claim to follow Christ become upset. They don't want to go there. So that means you don't want to check your expectation whether they are in line with Christ or not, but you call yourself a believer? What? And in pagan Christianity, in those Babylon churches, this respect concept is used as a tool to destroy people. Listen to this, in Babylon churches, they tell you to give in to the self-destructive will of predators and to allow yourself to become vulnerable to predators so the predators can have their way with you, so that the community is at ease. Because predators want to relieve their negative energy. They want to relieve themselves. They want to dump their waste on someone. And in Babylon church, they tell you to allow negative energy to be dumped on you as long as community is at ease. So you're being told to be a good victim. That's what Babylon churches tell you. That is what society in general tells you too. There are exemptions in which they tolerate you to act out, but as long as you act out in a self-destructive manner, because later they can use that against you also. I'm telling you, unlearn respect and learn Christ-centeredness. Too many folks just want to fit in, and they don't question what they're fitting into. Look, I don't do respect. I don't do that. I do reality. I do safety. I do Christ-centeredness. I do righteousness. I do walking by faith. I do reality. So if I see something doesn't add up, it doesn't add up. If someone is out of line, someone is out of line. Yes, I will look at the situation and look what's the best and proper way to deal with the situation. That's my responsibility, but it's also the responsibility of the environment. So everyone that makes up the environment to be realistic also. People are not going to hold on to irreality and demand me to forfeit my natural sanity and my long-term well-being to appease their bitterness. I'm not going to do that. Absolutely not. And here's the thing with those folks that demand respect. They become bitter when their validations aren't, when their expectations are not validated. I'm sorry. They get bitter when their expectations are not validated. Okay? And when their expectations are not validated, now they're the ones acting out. Now they're the ones attacking. And for some reason, them attacking, they have the reasons. And now you need to validate their reasons also. You see how dumb this is? Look, there's one thing that the pagan governments of this world do. And I'm not saying this to praise the pagan governments of this world. But if there are citizens that commit terror and they take hostages or they use any type of danger to threaten the government or to threaten some politician to give in to their demands, what happens? The governments don't comply. I'm not talking about when citizens riot or they protest because the government goes too far. I'm not talking about citizens calling the government to an account. When that happens, governments have no choice but to back off. But when you have folks that just want things in their advantage, no matter if that advantage is right or not, and those folks begin to use violence, so they begin to use terror, the government does not negotiate with them. They don't. The government ignores them, or the government goes after them. Ignoring, the government can't do for long because the citizens can't ask questions, but the government goes after them. The government will not sit down with them at the table and discuss things. Discuss their feelings, why they're upset, why they're hurt. Because look at this. They're not little children that are upset. They're not little children that are in a state of confusion. They're grown men, grown women who know the difference between what's safe and what's not safe, and they choose to bring danger onto the community to get their advantage. Again, I'm not talking about people calling the government to account by going on the streets and show consequence. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who just use terror to have their way. Those people that use terror want their wishes to be respected. It's all about the validation. Does the government validate them? No. Never. You know why? Because if the government would validate one individual that uses terror, then everyone will perceive that as a motivation to use terror also. And soon you'll have thousands of people using terror in daily life to get their validation. So the government becomes the one that terrorizes and everyone backs off. The government itself will never go in any deal with citizens using terror. And I'm not saying this is to support those pagan governments, because those pagan governments do a lot of weird things. But that's one thing they do right. Yet, they tell believers in those Babylon churches that they need to concede to predators and that they need to see things from the predator's perspective. They're taught to have sympathy with predators who are out to devour them. And they're even told they need to forgive and forget and be respectful. What? Please, subscribers, the Most High gave you a brain. You have the capacity to think. Use it. This is for now. Agree with Christ and be at peace.